Hello, and welcome back to the Neil Foster Rider Mindset Podcast. I'm Neil Foster, equestrian mindset coach and performance specialist. And as always, thank you for joining me wherever you're listening today. Before we dive in, if you enjoy these episodes and find them helpful, please take a moment to follow, subscribe, and share the podcast with another rider. It genuinely helps more riders discover the show and helps us continue growing this amazing community. Today, I want to talk about something that affects far more riders than most people realize. Something that often looks like dedication, looks like commitment, looks like passion, but underneath, it can quietly destroy confidence, consistency, and enjoyment. And that's this: caring too much about every single ride. Now, before anybody messages me, I'm not saying stop caring. I'm not saying become lazy. I'm not saying lower your standards. I'm talking about something different. I'm talking about riders whose emotions rise and fall based entirely on how today's ride went. Because when that happens, riding stops becoming something you do and starts becoming something that defines you. And that's where the problem begins. The ride that changes everything. Let me paint a picture. You're heading to the yard. The weather is surprisingly lovely. Your horse looks great. You have a plan for the session. You're feeling positive. Then 20 minutes later, your horse feels flat. You miss a stride. You lose rhythm. The transition isn't quite right. The jumping line isn't perfect. The dressage work feels average. And suddenly, the whole day feels ruined. The confidence disappears. The self-criticism arrives. The questioning starts. What's wrong with me? Why can't I get this right? Maybe we're not progressing. Maybe I'm not good enough. And here's the strange thing. Nothing catastrophic happened. But emotionally, it feels like a disaster. Sound familiar? Because I see this all the time. Especially with ambitious riders. Especially with riders who genuinely care. Why this happens? The reason this happens isn't because you're weak. It's not because you're overly emotional. It's because you've unintentionally attached your self-worth to your riding performance without even realizing it. Every good ride becomes proof you're progressing. Every bad ride becomes proof you're failing. And that creates an emotional roller coaster. One day you're confident. The next day you're doubting everything. One day you're planning the future. The next, you're wondering if you should even enter the competition. And the problem isn't the ride itself. The problem is the meaning you've attached to the ride. Because riders who stay mentally strong don't experience fewer setbacks. They simply interpret them differently. The professional athlete mindset. Think about elite athletes for a moment. They don't expect perfection. They expect feedback. That's a huge difference. Most riders approach sessions with an emotional scorecard. Good ride equals happy. Bad ride equals upset. Confident riders approach sessions with curiosity. What worked? What didn't? What can I learn? What needs adjusting? The session becomes information, not a judgment. And that's a completely different way of thinking. Because if every ride has to validate your confidence, eventually riding becomes exhausting. The hidden cost. The emotional cost is often bigger than people realize. You stop enjoying your horses. You stop being present. You become obsessed with outcomes. You constantly analyze yourself. You lose perspective. And the really frustrating thing, the harder you try to force confidence, the worse it often becomes. Because confidence isn't created by emotional reactions. Confidence is created by evidence. Evidence gathered over time. Which means you need consistency. You need systems. You need reflection. Not emotional punishment. Why riders get stuck. One of the biggest reasons riders plateau is because they never allow themselves enough emotional stability to learn. Every session becomes emotionally charged. Every mistake feels personal. Every setback feels significant. So instead of analysing performance objectively, they're managing emotions constantly. And that's exhausting. Imagine trying to improve your dressage while simultaneously fighting frustration. Imagine trying to ride a confident round while worrying about what the last round means. Imagine trying to trust your horse while doubting yourself. That's the reality many riders live with. Not because they lack ability, but because they care so much that they've accidentally made every ride mean too much. What confident riders do differently? Confident riders care deeply. Let's clear that up. They absolutely care, but they care differently. They care about the process, not individual outcomes. They care about long-term development, not daily validation. They care about progress, not perfection. They understand something incredibly important. One ride tells you very little. Patterns tell you everything. One competition means very little. Trends mean everything. One mistake means very little. How you respond means everything. That's a much healthier relationship with performance. Here's a question I want you to ask yourself. If one average ride can destroy your confidence, was your confidence ever really stable in the first place? It's not a criticism, it's a useful question. Because many riders think they need more confidence, when actually they need more confident stability. And stability comes from systems, not emotions. Building stability. This is one of the reasons I created the Rider Confidence Tracker. Because most riders are trying to judge themselves based on memory. And memory is unreliable, especially after emotional rides. The Confidence Tracker helps you start seeing patterns, progress, wins, lessons, evidence. The things confidence is actually built upon. If you haven't downloaded it yet, you'll find the link in the show notes or on the Neil Foster Rider Mindset Podcast Facebook group. It's completely free, and it might genuinely change the way you look at your riding. Let's use a competition example. You finish 8th. Not your best result. Not your worst. The emotional rider says, I'm disappointed. I should have done better. What if I'm going backwards? The strategic rider asks, what can I learn? What improved? What needs work? What did I do well? Same result, different mindset. Very different future. Because one mindset builds resilience. The other builds emotional dependency. Here's the truth many riders need to hear. You don't need every ride to be good. You need every ride to be useful. That's very different. Useful rides create growth. Perfect rides create unrealistic expectations. And confidence grows from growth, not perfection. So what to do this week? This week, I want you to try something. After every ride, ask yourself 3 questions. What went well? What did I learn? What will I do next? That's it. No emotional punishment. No character assassination. No spiraling. Just useful feedback. Because that's how confident riders think. Over the coming months, I'll be opening enrollment for my brand new 12-week Rider Mindset Coaching Program. This program has been designed specifically for competitive riders who want greater confidence stability, better focus under pressure, stronger emotional control, and more consistent performances. We'll be covering the exact systems, routines, and mindset frameworks that help riders stop living on the emotional roller coaster and start building confidence that lasts. If you'd like to hear more about that as details are released, make sure you're on my email list. The link is in the show notes. So before we finish today, remember this. You're not your last ride. You're not your last mistake. You're not your last competition result. One ride does not define you. One setback does not define you. One difficult day does not define your future. What matters is your ability to keep showing up, keep learning, and keep moving forward. Because the riders who progress furthest are rarely the riders who ride perfectly. They're the riders who recover quickest. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, follow, and share it with another rider. Come and join us inside the Neil Foster Rider Mindset Podcast Facebook group, where we continue these conversations every week. Download your free Rider Confidence Tracker using the link in the show notes. Join the email list for weekly rider mindset insights and updates on the upcoming 12-week coaching program. And if you'd like help building confidence, stability, and performing more consistently under pressure, send me a message about one-to-one coaching. Thank you for listening. Look after yourself, look after your horses, and I'll see you in the next episode.